welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead, and you join me inside an Abarth 595 Competizione. Now, we'll do the walk round in a minute, but I'd forgotten this car existed. When I got in touch with Abarth, I'd asked for the 124 because it's, you know, summertime, August, red hot, get the roof off, enjoy the driving. It's rained most of the week and they don't have one on their press fleet, so they said, we can send you a 595 Competizione. So I said, yeah, absolutely. And it's not until I've been in one of these, I didn't realise how many Fiat 500s, of course, which this is based upon, there are on the road. I mean, that has been a big seller for Fiat. And they obviously handed this over to the Abarth department back in 2007 as well. And they've been kicking them out for over 10 years now. So I guess we're here to see, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. So yeah, anyway, let's crack on with the walk around. And here it is, the Abarth 595 Competizione. So this starts at £23,075, but the model tested here comes in at £26,015. So the options include that rather fetching blue rally paintwork, £750. There's a carbon gear knob inside, which we'll have a look at shortly, and an Alcantara dash, which is very nice. And the most expensive of the options is the body kit, which weighs in at £1,800. Now that gives you these sort of slightly flared wheel arches and that sort of business, and the trim down the bottom there. If you're looking at one of these, I would recommend having a look at one without the body kit, because it's quite an expensive option and I'm not completely sold on what it brings to the party, but I do like the way this car looks, and that body kit is undeniably a factor in that. So as we get closer, so it's unmistakably based on the Fiat 500 from the front. You can see the underpinnings there, straight in on that none too subtle Abarth badge. Not much about this car is subtle, actually, to be honest, but that's a good thing, I think, for a car like this. So these 17-inch wheels, they come as standard, as do those rather fetching red brake calipers as well. The brakes do a very good job on this car, actually. It's really good fun to drive. As you can see, it's a 3-door hatchback. You've got more Abarth 595 denotation there, 17-inch wheels at the back, of course, and then as we get round to the rear, another big fat Abarth badge, and then the 595 Competizione logo there. And we'll have a look at the exhaust here as well. Now this exhaust, as we'll get to on the drive along, is a bit of a masterpiece, actually. I really like it. It emits a really nice sound when you put the car into Abarth mode and let it rip. Once that turbo spools up to 2-bar pressure, it really does make a nice sound. So yeah, you know, as a super mini, it certainly fits that bill. It is a genuinely small car. I think a lot of cars in this day and age have got larger, you know, for example the Golf. I mean, the new Mini that was launched a couple of years before Fiat relaunched the 500 is anything but mini. It's absolutely massive compared to this. So yeah, it's good that, you know, Fiat have stuck to the 500 platform. This is a genuinely small car, and handing it over to Abarth, you know, it's got undeniable appeal. But let's have a quick look inside. We'll start with the boot space back here, so open that up. So it's only a 185 litre boot, so not the biggest, but those rear seats do fold down. Now I've left my son's child seat in there just so you can see that there's not the greatest amount of legroom in the back there. Obviously, I mean, that passenger seat is all the way back, so when I've been driving around with him in it, I've had it all the way forward just to give him a bit of legroom. Otherwise he'd be cramped, and he's 3. And this might be the most pointless parcel shelf I've ever seen. I mean, what's that bringing to the party there? But you know, comes out easily enough if you need to get more bits in the boot. But anyway, let's have a look inside from the driver's position. Right, let's jump in and have a quick look in here. So I'll roll this seat back to start with so we get a bit more room. Yeah, a big difference that made. So inside, yeah, so this is the Alcantara dashboard that I spoke about as one of the options, and this is the carbon gear knob. So the positioning of that is not dissimilar to the old Honda Civic Type R or a Ford Transit, depending on if you're being unkind or not. I mean, the seating position in here is quite high, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's nice. These Saar belt seats are very comfortable. They do a good job. One problem to note though is if you try getting your hand down the side there to adjust the seats when the doors close, it is a little tricky. You've got a glove box in there big enough and all that sort of stuff, but I'll start it up and have a look at the options down there, so you get that lovely rumble from that exhaust straight away. And if you put it into Abarth mode, I'll be quiet for a second. Yeah, it just gets a bit louder, so that is quite nice. Give that quick. And then we take it out of Abarth mode, just quietens down a bit, and then nowhere near the same throatiness in the exhaust. So it's, it's good that it's got those two options. Quite like the layout of the instrument cluster. It's easy to use and all that sort of stuff. Steering wheel's a nice size as well. Again, massive Abarth logo, bit of carbon fibre, and the Alcantara bizarrely is on the bit of the steering wheel that you're not really in contact with so much, which is slightly odd. The infotainment system, yeah, it's fine. Seen better, seen worse, and sound system as well, does a decent job, but nothing really to write home about. And this is the boost gauge, which I will mention on the drive along. So when you've got it in Abarth mode, it will boost all the way up to 2 bar of pressure, but when you're just in normal mode like we are now, it will only go to just shy of 1.5. So it does have that different nature. This took me a little bit of time to find when I first got in the car, but the window controls are there. Always take a second to familiarise yourself with the surroundings before you get a first drive, and I would definitely recommend with that with this car as well. But otherwise, it's comfortable enough in here. Everything works, everything's functional, so no real complaints. But let's get on to what this car was really designed for, and that is driving. So, what's the Abarth 595 Competizione like out on the road? Well, let's have a listen to that exhaust. Really rasps at that top end, and I do really like the exhaust in this car. You will get quite addicted to putting it in Abarth mode and pushing it all the way up to the 2 bar boost on there, and just hearing that exhaust permeate through the cabin. I mean, it really is quite something. It's fantastic. It's only a 1.4 litre engine, 180 horsepower, and just kicking out that noise from that is quite something. It's really, really impressive. That engine propels this car from standstill to 60 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds. So it's not terrifyingly fast. Now, we're out on a flowing country road at the moment, and this really is where this car just makes total sense. It is superb in this setting, and it just picks up pace nicely. It's brisk, and the other good thing about it as well, being a manual, being a turbo, is if you get your gear changes wrong, it punishes you. You suddenly go, stick it fifth and floor it, nothing happens. You've got to get your gear changes right, and that just adds to the sense of engagement that you get with this car, because it's lacking in other areas. Perhaps the steering is a bit vague. It does get heavier in a Abarth setting. It's just desperate to get back to centre, and I think that's designed to give the illusion of feedback, but there isn't really any. But you do get that feedback through the chassis. You know what the car's doing beneath you, which is good. So you'll enjoy it from that sense, and that is one of the things, because the car is set up the way it is incredibly rigid. So you will be scanning the road like a hawk, looking out for any imperfections. I mean, particularly potholes. You do not want to go crashing through them in this, because you will need your chiropractor on speed dial. I mean, it's bad enough when you change lane to go over some cat's eyes. I mean, it really is. It is a bit too stiff, and that is why I say this car makes sense in this sort of environment, because you can get it out on a flowing country road. You can let the exhaust rip, and you're not as disturbed by the road imperfections. When there's a tinge of irony here, because this car is based upon the platform of a city car. You wouldn't really want to drive this car in a city. It'd drive you crazy. I mean, you can probably see me now going up and down, and this isn't a bad bit of road by any stretch of the imagination. It's relatively flat. I mean, there are some potholes like that. You do get the dips, and you do want to avoid them, but you get it out on these roads and you will forgive it that in a heartbeat, because it is so laser focused on delivering that supreme driving experience, and it does. I mean, when Fiat handed this over to the Abarth department, I am sure the remit was, let's make a good, fun driver's car, and they have at all costs. I mean, they have nailed that brief. I mean, it is a good, fun, engaging driver's car, and it is a bit of a boy-girl racer type thing. It's not subtle. It's got that noisy exhaust. It's got the flashy blue paintwork, and you don't want it to be subtle, but you do want it to be good fun. That's why you buy a car like this, and it is good fun. I mean, it just would be nice if you could adjust the damping somehow, just to make it a little more forgiving. I know that adds extra layers of technology and expense and all that sort of thing, but just have it as an option even would be nice, because it is firm. I mean, that's being polite. Really uncomfortable. It's how you might describe it in the wrong setting, but yeah, like I say, you will find yourself just sticking to B roads in this. You would on a motorway, just turn off, get out of here, get it back where it is at home, and it is at home in these conditions. It is so much fun to drive in this setting, and that really is what this car is designed for. I mean, it does have its flaws. I'm not crazy about the steering. I think the pedals are arguably a little bit too close together. It being front wheel drive, you get torque steering, first and second under heavy acceleration, and it can be a bit unpredictable. I mean, that's obviously a trait of all front wheel drive cars, but yeah, sometimes it will veer off right or left a little bit suddenly, more so than I've experienced in other front wheel drive cars. We mentioned that when we reviewed the Honda Civic Type R not so long ago, that that had torque steering as well, but I mean, that was manageable and it added to a sense of enjoyment. This can be a little bit like, oh my god, which direction is it taking us in? And that's where the sort of numb steering comes back into it, because you're not always fully got it under control in that snow. I'm doing that with the wheel now, and that's making no difference to where the car's going on the road. We're still just hammering along this road, and yeah, it just makes no difference really. So I mean, that's a drawback. The seating position's a bit high, and you can't adjust the steering wheel. The steering wheel does not come forwards or backwards. It'll go up or down by about a centimetre, for how lot of good that is, but it won't come back towards you, and because you can't adjust the height of the seat position's a little bit, there's not really any room for your left leg when you're not on the clutch. You sort of have to put your left foot underneath the clutch or just leave it resting on top. So it does have those little drawbacks like that, but like I say, you get it out on roads like these on a day or an evening like this, and you're just like, yeah, so what? This is what you buy the car for, isn't it? You will put up with those slight imperfections with it. Yeah, so there's the torque steer again, like heavy acceleration out of that junction, and it goes, but then you get it onto these roads, it's like, I mean, it does just jump around. It's far too rigid really for these settings, but at least you know exactly what's going on underneath you. You feel exactly where this car is on the road through your arse, not through the steering wheel, but that's fine. I mean, there's enough headroom so that when you do go over those bumps that take you by surprise, you're not going to bang your head on the ceiling at least, which is something. But like I say, this car was definitely designed to be good fun out on a country road, and it is not the most practical car, noisy, leery, not very subtle, and I'd argue that is exactly what you want in a car like this. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please hit subscribe. We have got loads more coming up on the channel. We've got a Maserati Levante Trofeo coming up, we've got an Aston Martin DBX and an Aston Martin DBX, we've got a Caterham 620, we've got Ferrari Roma, we've got Cupra Formentor, we've got an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, a Polestar 1 and a Kia Stinger, and there will be more beyond that as well. So if you would like to see one, some or all of those videos, please hit subscribe, and we will see you soon. Thanks.